Hello and welcome to another video on the Obscure Languages channel. In this video I will show you what grammatical cases are, how to use them, when to use them, and this is pretty much essential knowledge for anyone that's trying to learn a language that has cases or just wants to expand their grammatical or linguistic knowledge. More specifically, in this video I will be looking into the Indo-European cases, so let's start. What are cases? Cases indicate the function of a word in a sentence by modifying it. Those words can be nouns, adjectives, pronouns, or numbers. That process of modification is called declension. Cases allow flexible word order because you always know the function of a word no matter where it is. And the word cases comes from the Latin verb cadere, which means to fall. Cases are considered one of the toughest aspects of languages because there's a lot of memorization of suffixes and infixes and prefixes. And languages with cases are called inflected languages. Here's a map of the languages in Europe. German, for example, has 4 cases. Albanian has 5. Russian and Turkish have 6. Latvian and Lithuanian have 7. Finnish has 15. Hungarian has 18. While languages like Norwegian, Swedish, French, and Spanish have 0. So how about English? English used to have 4 cases, in Old English. Now it has 3 simplified cases. They're applied only to pronouns. Subjective is the simplified version of the nominative case, like the word he. Objective, like the word him, is a simplified version of accusative. And possessive, like this, is the simplified version of genitive, like the word his. Most of the time, cases are replaced by prepositions like from, at, and of. There are a lot of cases. The Tses language, for example, has 64 cases, while a constructed language named Ithquail has 96. Languages tend to lose cases over time, so Old English used to have 4, Latin had 6, Proto-Indo-European had 8, and in this video you will learn the basic cases, as I call them, nominative, accusative, genitive, and dative, and some additional cases like locative, instrumental, and vocative. Let's look at nominative. Nominative indicates the subject of the sentence or the thing that's doing something. It's also taken as the base form of a word, so if you translate some word into another language that has cases, or an inflected language, chances are that word is going to be in nominative. In the sentence, he hit the ball, he is the subject of the sentence or the thing that's doing something, so it's in the nominative case. In the sentence, the tree fell down, the tree is in the nominative case because the tree is doing something, the tree is falling. Let's look at accusative. Accusative indicates the direct object, or the thing that something is being done to. In the same sentence, he hit the ball is in the accusative case because the ball is being hit. And in the sentence, she threw a stick is in the accusative case. Let's look at a language that has all of these cases so we can put things into perspective. In Croatian, lopta udarila njega, meaning the ball hit him. And in the sentence, on je udario loptu, he hit the ball, we can see a clear difference between lopta and loptu. So lopta, when turned into the object, gets an u ending and becomes loptu, while lopta as a subject, or just lopta, is without an ending. Let's look at genitive. Genitive indicates possession and composition. This is arguably one of the hardest cases, I would say, to grasp. It corresponds to the English s of and from. So in the sentence, a wall of stone would be in the genitive case, and it would be only one word in an inflected language. This is not the same as stone wall because stone in this sentence is an adjective. In the sentence, a man of honor is in the genitive case, and it will be one word in an inflected language. Tim's sword, Tim's is in the genitive case because it indicates possession. Let's look at Croatian again. In the same sentences, zid kamena, you can see that zid kamena means a wall of stone, and if we just put kamen, which is in the nominative case, it would just mean wall stone. While when we put that a ending, it becomes of stone. In the same sentence, čovjek časti, meaning a man of honor, you can see that the base form of the word is čast, meaning honor, and when you add that I ending, it becomes of honor. And in the same sentence, mach tima, meaning Tim's sword, you can see that tima is in genitive, and tim, or the base form of the word in nominative, is changed. This is what I explained earlier. Zid kamen would just mean wall stone, and that of part corresponds to the a ending. Let's look at dative. Dative indicates indirect objects. If you don't know what indirect objects are, I highly recommend doing some research, because it's going to be a bit hard to explain. Dative corresponds to the English to and motions towards something. In the sentence, he gave me the ball, me is the indirect object. The ball is in the accusative case because it's the direct object, and he is in the nominative case. Donate to the poor. To the poor would be in the dative case because it's the indirect object. You can see that he is performing a direct action on the word ball, and then he's also performing a indirect action to me. So that's basically the meaning of indirect objects. I highly recommend just looking it up for yourself, because it's gonna be a bit hard to explain. Let's look at Croatian again. In the sentence on mi je dao loptu, which is the same sentence as the one on the left, he gave me the ball, you can see that me has a special the me pronoun has a special form, and you can see all of those forms in different cases that we covered so far in the top right. And the same sentence, donate to the poor, donirajte siromašnima. Siromašni would just be the base form, while with ma at the end, it becomes to the poor, right? And in the new sentence, on je dao tortu studentima, he gave a cake to the students. Studenti, just meaning students, is the base form of the word, and when you add that ma ending, it becomes to the students. Ona je dala tortu Marku, she gave a cake to Mark. Marko is the base form of the word, just meaning Mark, and with that u ending, it becomes to Mark. Let's look at the locative case. Now we're getting into those additional cases that I mentioned. Locative obviously indicates location. It corresponds to the English in, on, at, and by. In the sentence, he is at the pub. At the pub is in the locative case. An apple is on the table. On the table is in the locative case. So let's look at Croatian again. On je u pubu, he is at the pub. Jabuka je na stolu, an apple is on the table. You can see how the word changes based on its case. Pub would just be pub, and stol would just be table, right? And when you put that ending, it becomes, it gets a different case, essentially. Let's look at instrumental. This is one of the most useful ones, I would say. It indicates the instrument of an action. It corresponds to the English with and by. So he wrote the book by hand. By hand would be in the instrumental case. And he and book are in different cases. He is in the nominative and book is in the accusative. And he wrote with a pen. With a pen is in the instrumental case. So, there's another sentence, sorry. He left by bus. By bus would be in the instrumental case. He is with Mark. With Mark is in the instrumental case. Let's look at Croatian again. On je napisao knjigu rukom, meaning he wrote the book by hand. Ruka, just by itself, means hand. And when you replace that a and add rukom, just means by hand. So essentially the point of cases is to convey more meaning in one word. So when you speak in English, you have to say by hand, and in Croatian or any inflected language, you have to say less words, essentially. On je pisao olovkom, he wrote with a pen or by pen. Olovka just means pen, and or pencil, sorry, and with that om ending it becomes with a pen. On je otišao busom, he left by bus. Bus is just a bus, and busom means with a bus or by bus. On je s Markom, he is with Mark. Oh, sorry. He is with Mark. In Croatian, when you're talking about people, you still have to do that s thing, which means with, because otherwise it would mean that. It's a bit hard to explain, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think other languages do that. So, okay, let's look at vocative. This is the last case. It's used for addressing someone directly. In the sentence, Robert, I don't know, Robert is in the vocative case, and there's a thing in English called the vocative the vocative comma, I believe. It's the comma that's after Robert, right? So if that comma weren't there, it would mean it would have a different meaning, right? Hey David. David is in the vocative case, and let's eat grandma. Grandma is in the vocative case. You can see a clear example of the vocative comma that's in English here, because if you remove that comma in the last sentence, it would be weird. Let's eat grandma. It will mean that we're gonna eat grandma, right? Let's look at Croatian again. Roberte ne znam. Roberte is in the vocative case. Robert by itself just means Robert, and when you put that e ending, it becomes you addressing Robert directly. Hey David. See, this is very self-explanatory now. And let's eat grandma. Baka means grandma, and bako means you addressing grandma directly, right? And in the Croatian anthem, in the first verse, there's a clear example of vocative, right? In the sentence Lijepa naša domovina, meaning our beautiful homeland, you can see how there's a different meaning between the English and Croatian examples, because domovino in this example means you addressing the homeland directly, while homeland in English would just be in general, right? So it's not the same thing as Lijepa naša domovina. Rather, you would have to get a bit creative and use that vocative comma that I was talking about to get the same meaning. So when you put it like, oh, our beautiful homeland, it sounds like you're addressing the homeland directly, while in Croatian or any inflected language, you can just do that by changing the suffix. Beware, not all languages use cases in the exact same way. For example, Latin and Greek are very tricky with their cases, but most languages use cases the way I explained, and that's the way I explained it. It's basically the foundations, right? That's how most languages use them. There's also a thing called case hierarchy, which means that if a case is missing on the left or right, the ones that are right to it are less likely to be present. For example, if there is no genitive in a language, then it's more likely that that language won't have dative, locative, instrumental, or any other cases after it. So, for example, if a language doesn't have locative, it most likely won't have instrumental. If a language doesn't have accusative, it most likely won't have genitive, dative, locative, and instrumental. Here's a little exercise to see what you've learned. I color-coded all of these cases so you can remember. Hey man, did you park the car of mine? You can pause the video between sentences. Man is in the vocative case because you're addressing him directly. You is the person that's doing something, so you're in the nominative case. The car is in the accusative case, and of mine is in genitive. I was driving to the cinema. I is in the nominative case because you're the thing that's doing something, you're driving, right? And to the cinema is in dative. Number 3, the golden apple is on the tree of gold. Here's a little red herring. Golden isn't in genitive because it's an adjective. Apple is in nominative, on the tree is in locative, and of gold is in genitive. She was with Lucy at the museum yesterday. She is in the nominative case. With Lucy is an instrumental. At the museum is locative. And that's it. Yesterday is nothing. And they gave her a speeding ticket. They are in the nominative case. Her is the dative case because it's the indirect object. And a speeding ticket is in the accusative case. So thank you for watching. Leave any suggestions and critiques in the comments. If you want any topics to be covered or explained, I'm gonna do those. So again, thank you for watching and hope you learned something. If you have any questions, just ask me in the comments. Thank you for watching again.